What promised to be a glorious new era for Ferrari has begun as a nightmare. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, is facing one of the most critical moments of his career, and all under the relentless eyes of the Italian press. Lewis Hamilton arrived at Ferrari as a living legend. The most successful driver of the modern era with 7 world championships, signed for the Scuderia for what many called the last great mission of his career. However, the dream began as a nightmare, and the setting could not have been more merciless. Italy, the land where love for Ferrari blends with merciless demands. The Italian press, renowned for its passion but also for its toughness, was quick to sound the alarm. Devastating headlines, sharp criticism, and uncomfortable comparisons dominated the front pages. Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari still don't get along, published La Gazzetta dello Sport, even stating that the Briton appears to be at a dead end. A phrase laden with despair, reflecting the mood in Maranello. Expectations were sky high. Hamilton not only brought experience and titles, but also an image of leadership, determination, and success. But none of that has been enough to stem the tide of distrust that grows race after race. The same press that celebrated his signing now questions his adaptation and casts doubt on his ability to turn the situation around. As if that weren't enough, Corriere della Sera has taken the comparisons to a painful point. They've pointed out that even rookie drivers like Ollie Bearman have shown faster adaptation in modest teams like Haas. The implication is clear. A rookie seems to understand his car better than a 7-time world champion with one of the greatest teams in history. What was supposed to be a story of redemption, of ultimate glory, has begun as a tale of frustration. And in Italy, where Ferrari is almost a religion, mistakes are unforgivable. The margin of patience is minimal, and Hamilton is already feeling it. The full weight of the press, the fans, and history now rests on his shoulders, and time is running out. Lewis Hamilton's racing record at Ferrari is far from what he expected. After the first races of the 2025 season, the numbers speak for themselves. He has barely 31 points in the Drivers' Championship and has yet to score a podium finish. For a driver of his caliber, accustomed to fighting for victories, this is an alarming start. The comparison with his teammate, Charles Leclerc, only makes the situation worse. While the Monegasque driver has already scored a podium finish and is proving competitive, Hamilton continues to struggle for pace. In qualifying, he is on average 0.2 slower than Leclerc. A gap that in Formula 1 is more than enough to determine who leads the team and who is in the shadows. In Saudi Arabia, the gap was particularly humiliating. Hamilton crossed the finish line in 7th place, more than 30 seconds behind Leclerc, who climbed to the 3rd step of the podium. In Formula 1, that gap is abysmal and reveals not only a lack of performance, but also a lack of confidence in the car. The pattern was repeated in Japan. Although the gap was shorter, Hamilton again finished several positions behind his teammate. A 3-place difference in the race and 13 seconds between the two. A constant that is already worrying not only the media, but also many within the team itself. The numbers don't lie. Beyond prestige or history, what counts on the track is performance. And so far, Hamilton hasn't been able to even come close to the level expected of him. Time passes, points slip away, and the statistics are beginning to tell a story that no one at Ferrari wanted to tell. Lewis Hamilton is not only facing rivals on the track, he's also waging a battle with his own car. The SF-25, Ferrari's new car for this season, has become a real challenge, even for a driver with more than 100 Formula 1 victories. It's not just about adapting to a new team, but to a machine completely different from anything he's driven before. After the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Hamilton was straightforward. When asked if he had found anything positive in his career, he replied no. Not a single moment where he felt comfortable behind the wheel. That candor made it clear that his problems go far beyond a poor qualifying or a wrong strategy. The car simply doesn't respond to his driving style. In a tone somewhere between frustration and resignation, Hamilton even said he would need a brain transplant to understand how the SF-25 works. Although it may seem like a joke, it's an expression that reflects the total disconnect between driver and machine. After so many years at Mercedes with a car built just for him, the jump to Ferrari has been more violent than anyone expected. After the Japanese Grand Prix, Hamilton revealed that they had found a technical problem with the car, something that had been affecting his performance for several races. A fault that, he said, cost him to lose more than 1/10 per lap. Although this would explain part of his poor performance, it also highlights another problem. This Ferrari is very difficult to tune and understand. The most worrying thing is that, even with the problem identified, Hamilton is not optimistic. He has publicly acknowledged that he has no answers or short-term solutions. It will continue like this for the rest of the year. "It will be painful," he once said. A phrase that, coming from one of the most combative drivers in history, sounds like a temporary surrender to a car that, for now, is giving him no respite. Ferrari hasn't stood idly by in the face of the SF-25's obvious problems. Since the start of the season, the team has implemented an ambitious update program aimed at improving the car's competitiveness and expanding its operating window. Bahrain was the stage for the first major package of improvements, focusing primarily on the floor and diffuser. The changes were not minor. The new floor was completely redesigned with modifications to the sidewalls, the wing lip, and the diffuser structure. These alterations sought to solve a key problem: the need to maintain a higher than optimal ride height to avoid unstable downforce. With the new specification, Ferrari hopes to better exploit the car's aerodynamic potential. In addition to the floor, the team also introduced a new configuration for the wings, particularly on the rear wing mounting pillar. Everything points to an aggressive development strategy that attempts to correct the car's weaknesses without completely altering its design philosophy. Ferrari wants to give its drivers a more predictable car, especially Hamilton, who is still struggling to find his footing. Hamilton, for his part, was enthusiastic about the updates. During the media day in Bahrain, he admitted that the car needed more downforce and that, with these improvements, they could be a step closer to the solution. Still, he acknowledged that the car still has significant shortcomings in overall pace and that progress will be gradual. These updates represent hope for Hamilton and Ferrari. They don't guarantee immediate results, but they offer the possibility of closing the gap to the leaders and, above all, of giving the British driver a tool with which he can finally compete. The challenge remains enormous, but for the first time since the season began, there are signs that the course may be corrected. Amid all the criticism, technical glitches, and disappointing results, there's one aspect that's starting to be as worrying as performance: Lewis Hamilton's state of mind. Accustomed to being a dominant figure, setting the pace on and off the track, Hamilton now faces a completely new situation. He's no longer leading, he's no longer the fastest, and his voice has weakened in the face of a press that gives him no respite. Fred Vasseur, Ferrari team principal, has forcefully come to his defense. He claims to be 2,000% behind him and has asked for patience. For Vasseur, it's all part of the natural process of adapting to a new team, with a radically different car and internal dynamics that are still being fine-tuned. But even his message of support doesn't hide the reality: Hamilton's confidence is also at stake. Hamilton himself has shown signs of emotional exhaustion. In several interviews, he has hinted at a mixture of frustration and helplessness. It's unusual to hear him say he has no solutions or that the rest of the year will be painful. These kinds of statements not only reflect how difficult the transition has been, but also how much his inability to perform at the level he expects is affecting him. Media pressure has amplified the problem. At Mercedes, Hamilton had a platform where he could freely express himself and defend his position. At Ferrari, the environment is different. Criticism comes faster than responses, and this has made even his combative nature seem more restrained. Some analysts are already speaking of a subdued Hamilton, a shadow of his former self at his most dominant. The psychological challenge is as great as the technical one. Adapting to a new car can take time, but regaining confidence when results aren't forthcoming and doubts mount is even more difficult. Without a solid foundation of internal confidence, any improvement on the track risks being diluted. For Hamilton to re-emerge, he not only needs a better car, he also needs to regain the belief that he's capable of winning. Lewis Hamilton's future at Ferrari is at a crossroads. The season has barely begun, but the margin for error is already minimal. Each race becomes an opportunity to correct course or to sink deeper into a dynamic of frustration. The big question now is whether this period of adaptation will be temporary or if we are facing a deeper incompatibility between driver and car. Everything indicates that the next few races will be decisive. With a schedule that offers no respite, Hamilton will need to show concrete progress if he wants to maintain the trust of the team and the patience of the fans. Technical updates may provide some respite, but without tangible results, even the most optimistic narrative will begin to crumble. Vasseur and Ferrari's technical management remain convinced that the potential is there. They are confident that once Hamilton feels comfortable with the SF-25, the results will come. And they have reason to believe it. The Briton has overcome enormous challenges before and managed to reinvent himself at key moments in his career. But this time the context is different. He's with a new team with a car that doesn't speak to him, and at 40 years old, the clock starts ticking faster. Time is Hamilton's greatest enemy. Not for lack of talent, but because in Formula One, patience is a limited resource. Ferrari signed him to win, not to wait. And while everyone recognizes his ability, the results have to come. If they don't come soon, the narrative could change irreversibly. What lies ahead is uncertain, but exciting. Hamilton hasn't said his last word, and Ferrari still believes in him. The question is whether both can find the balance before the pressure overwhelms everything. Because in this sport, as in life, it's not enough to want to win. You have to prove it on every lap. Lewis Hamilton's start at Ferrari has undoubtedly been one of the toughest episodes of his career. It's not just a bad run, but an explosive combination of a difficult car, a new environment, and media pressure that leaves no room for respite. What was shaping up to be a new chapter full of glory for now is marked by uncertainty and frustration. But if there's one thing that defines great champions, it's their ability to rise up in the most difficult moments. Hamilton has shown throughout his career that he knows how to fight against everything. Against rivals, against adversity, and against expectations. This isn't the first time many have doubted him, and it may not be the last. Ferrari, for its part, needs this gamble to work more than ever. Because it's not just about scoring points or winning races, it's about regaining lost prestige and proving that they remain a benchmark in Formula One. They bet on a 7-time world champion for a reason. Now they must work together to ensure that reason isn't diluted by criticism and poor results. Hamilton's story at Ferrari is still in its early stages. No one knows how it will end, but what is clear is that it has already become one of the most followed and talked about stories in recent years in F1. What happens from here on out could shape not only Hamilton's legacy, but also the immediate future of the Scuderia. And that, in itself, is reason enough to keep an eye on him.